Hey everyone, Dale here. Thanks for clicking on this video. So today I'm going to talk about this little stove that I have. I have more of this little stove on my channel, other videos of me putting it together and setting it up and doing a first burn, so I'll link those in the description. But it's a cool little stove from Princess Auto up in Canada here. It's like Harbor Freight in the US. Great little stove, more like an airtight, easy to move around. But what I thought about doing was turning it into an oil burner. And not only an oil burner, but an oil burner with a heat exchanger. So turning it into an oil burner, waste oil burner heat exchanger, and then having it outside and in the backyard and running 3/4 piping into the garage and into a radiator. So this is the diagram I've come up with, what I want to do with it. You'll see the cold coming in from the shop. It's going to go into from a 3/4 inch plastic pipe to a 3/4 inch steel onto the stove, and then it's going to circle around the stove, come out of that, actually it's 1-inch pipe, back down to the 3/4 inch out to the shop, and that's going to heat up. I'm not sure how much heat that's going to perform, but I'm going to try it. It's going to be a test. And then my oil is going to come in on the right, on the top there, and I'm going to have a blower at the bottom. This may change a little bit, but I've already set up some examples on my YouTube channel, and I have it later on in this video of me testing an oil burner design that I want to put into this unit. A good test run, we'll see how it does. I may have to add more of a heat exchanger at the stove, but I think in the shop that we can always adjust that. I think at the shop end we'll be fine with a fan behind the radiator. And yeah, so while doing research on this stove, I came up with a couple of YouTubers explain it way better than I can. They did a very good example. So I reached out to them. They said I could use part of the video in this video. So thanks guys for that. I'll also link their video in the comment sections below, so you can check out their full-length videos. They do a great job explaining everything here, so I will pass it on to them, and towards the end of the video you'll see my test of my oil burner that I'm thinking of putting into this airtight stove. So yeah, check it out. Stay tuned for the rest of the video.
Now this system works with 3 major components. One would be the wood stove itself that I made out of scrap metal. Second would be an old car radiator. This one is from a Toyota Sienna that I took apart a couple years ago. And third would be a pump. In this case I'm using a cheap sump pump. All of those components are connected with piping, and the way it works is the pump is pumping cold coolant towards the wood stove where it gets heated up. From there it goes to the radiator, and a big fan behind the radiator is extracting the heat and pushing it right into my garage, and then cold coolant returns to the pump. And if I understood the story right here, this picture was made to settle an argument. Basically 2 guys were arguing over where the best spot is to aim a fan at on a wood stove to circulate air. One guy said, of course the wood stove itself would be the hottest part, so you have to aim it towards the wood stove. Now the other guy was convinced that the first part of stovepipe was the hottest section, and you should aim your fan towards that. And so to settle this, they took a thermal infrared image, and to my surprise, it's actually the first section of stovepipe, according to this picture, that is the hottest part. The only problem was now that I had soldered connection points close to the stove wall, which then actually became hot enough to melt the connection. So I had to clamp those fire bricks in between as insulators. I'm not gonna lie, it looks pretty ugly, but it works. Now, since it would be insanely expensive to run a copper pipe all the way to the garage, I decided to switch to a PEX pipe instead. I had some ridge caps from an old metal roof kicking around, and I used them as a heat shield to protect the PEX pipe. I also insulated the PEX pipe. Again, I tried to build this as cheap as possible, and that's where I used fiberglass insulation and tuck tape. This is not the best way to do this, but it was a leftover material from another project, and it was just collecting dust in the garage, so it felt good to use it up and save some money. Now, after messing around for a while with the radiator and some plumbing fittings, I was ready to hook everything up. I fed the PEX pipe and insulation through flexible drainage pipe and sealed it on both ends. And this is how it looks like tucked under my workbench. A cheap box fan from Walmart is really all it needs to cool down the radiator. Now here we got, last but not least, the 1/4 horsepower utility pump. It's really nothing special, but it was cheap and it works. Now there are two reasons why the pump is located out here. One is that I couldn't find any good information online about how dangerous the fumes of the coolant are, and I really don't feel like breathing that in all day long. And the other reason is this is a really cheap sump pump. It's not really meant for hot water, so I try to tie it in on the coldest spot in the loop, which is right before it goes towards the hot stove. Now the big question here is how well does the system work? And after running it for almost a full winter, I can say it works pretty good. It does take about an hour to heat up the garage, which is not too bad considering the size of it. But there are certainly some drawbacks as well. One of them is the time and work you have to spend to get this all going. You have to be out here an hour before you even can start working in the garage just to start the fire. You have to have enough dry firewood prepared for the whole season. In general, I think you almost have to have access to free firewood or this whole thing doesn't make too much sense. Also, you have to be able to babysit the whole system. What I mean by that is, yeah, we'll give you an example. Last year I thought it would be very smart to start a giant fire in here, leave for a couple hours and come home to a nice cozy warm garage. Well, it turned out we had a power out in that time, the pump stopped working, now the whole system is overheating and pipes and fittings are bursting all over the place. And to fix them up at minus 30 degrees Celsius outside is not a lot of fun. So that's for sure something to keep in mind. Also, the way I built this whole thing does look kind of redneck style, so there's for sure a lot of room for improvement. And if my plan would be to live here forever, I for sure would spend the time and money to make this all pretty. In my case, I'm quite willing to give up the fancy look for now for basically free heat.
Alright, this is SSLFamilyDad with Simple Suburban Living, and today I'm going to take you along on a project that I've been waiting to do all summer long, and that is I'm going to be converting our wood-burning pool heater that we have outside by the pool into a sort of boiler system to heat our garage. And so basically what I'm going to be doing is extending the hot water system from that wood-burning pool heater underground pipes into the garage, and I'm going to be using an old car radiator to cycle that hot water through and then blow that heat out into the garage for us. So I have a lot of projects that I'd like to get done this winter, and I don't have heat out here. Now our garage is insulated, so it holds heat very well. I just need something to get it warmed up, and it's very comfortable here. So I'll go ahead and take you along on this project, and we'll start off outside, just kind of getting things set up with the disconnecting the pool heater from the pool and starting to hook it up to our new piping system here. I want to get outside, get something done. It's windy, so I apologize as always. So the PEX tubing here does come with you can buy the special crimping rings here, and then you have there's a special proprietary crimping tool that you actually use with this PEX. But that's the correct way to do that. However, the crimping tool is $60. The crimpers are more expensive. There's also shark bite fittings that you can get where you can just push this into. Those are real expensive also. So in an effort to keep costs down, I'm going to see if I can get away with using hose clamps here instead. These are, whatever, 30 cents a piece. Okay, so what we've got here is, this is just a regular old car radiator that I picked up at the junkyard for 20 bucks. I think it's out of like a Ford Taurus or something like that. It's not a real big one, but this should work out just fine. And so the idea here is basically just to hook up our circulatory system or water circulation system, whatever you want to call it. Cold water or hot water is going to come in at the top, and then cold water or colder water will come out at the bottom. I've got a submersible pump that I'm using in place of a regular circulation pump. Circulation pumps are actually very expensive. These are pretty cheap, and if this doesn't work here, I can always use it in my aquaponics system. So I got one, just a little submersible pump, and we're going to use this bucket to sit the pump in, and this is going to act kind of like a sump tank. So we'll have the pump will pump water out through the heater and then come in through the radiator, cool down, and then dump back into the bucket. All right, first thing we're going to do here is just get a hole drilled for the pipe coming out from the pump. Alright, so we're ready to get some of this PVC glued together and start getting these hoses hooked up. One of the things I always recommend doing with your PVC glue and PVC primer, just run a piece of tape between the two cans. I can't tell you how many times I've accidentally spilled one of these primers over in someone's basement back when I used to work in heating and cooling. And it's just it never comes out of cement or pretty much anything else. So this primer is just stains anything. So be real careful with it. Tape your cans together, that way they don't tip over quite as easily. So first thing we're going to be doing here is just getting the connections made to the pump. Okay, so one of the things I have to do here is convert from the size of this radiator hose, which I think is 1.25 inches or 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches I think, over to my 1/2 inch PEX. And so I bought some of this poly tube. This is PVC tube. It's not rated quite up to 200 degrees. It's rated at 175 degrees, but this should work just fine. They didn't have the exact same size that I needed, and so I've got pieces of radiator hose that should fit inside this tube okay, and then I should be able to get on to that tube. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and give this a try and see if we can get these to fit over top of these radiator fittings here. All right, was a little bit of a struggle, but I think I got it on there far enough where we can get a good clamp. So, okay, so we've got our threaded fitting on here now, and now all I'm doing is just doing an adapter from the threaded fitting to a slip fitting, and then to a bushing, which is going to take me down to my 1/2 inch, or a thread where I can screw in my PEX fitting. So that's what I'm going to be putting together here real quick. Alright, so I've got all of our fittings mounted to the radiator in the back there that adapts us to our 1/2 inch PEX. And I found this spot kind of underneath one of the shelves in my workbench here that actually fits really well. There's some rubber grommet legs on the bottom of this. I just drilled some holes, and it kind of slips right in here and it fits nicely. And I just have a little bracket that I put on the back inside to kind of hold it firmly in here. And so this is kind of where it's going to stay. I was originally planning on building a whole nother stand or table for this to fit in, but it actually fits really well right here. And I'll show you kind of the back side of it and where all the connections are going to be. It hides everything real nicely, and I'm also going to put a fan behind this that will blow through, of course, to get the heat out into the room. So I'll go ahead and show you the back side here. Okay, so just to take you around kind of all the connections, now we have it all hooked up. So the bucket here has got the pump in it. Water's going to pump out through that hose and go out to the pool heater, and then it will come back, and let's see if we can get in here, and then it will come into the radiator up to that top hose. We'll have a fan back here in this little area, and I'll build some type of a cowl that will blow the air through, heat the garage. The cooler water will come out the bottom here, and then it just zips around and fills the little sump tank back up, and then the pump pumps it back out again. So that's the idea. So first step here, now that I have everything kind of hooked up, is going to be to start filling it with water and pumping some water through everything and just seeing if it leaks. Well, so far it seems to be pretty good in here. I had a couple of drops on one fitting and just needed a little tightening up. I had a little bit of water down here from one of these fittings when I initially started it up, but I've let it run for a few minutes now and it doesn't seem to be dripping anymore, so may have kind of sealed itself up there, but I might need to tighten a few hose clamps down. But so far so good. The radiator's not leaking, which is my biggest concern. So we'll go ahead and check outside. I've got a couple fittings out there and see if those are leaking. Well, here's our outdoor fittings, and it looks like the hose clamps are holding up pretty good. Unfortunately, it's raining, so I wouldn't be able to tell if there was a small leak anyway, but I definitely don't see any drips. I don't see anything big. So I think the hose clamps worked. Okay, so I've gone around and checked for leaks and everything looks good. The system's running. I really don't see any issues going on, so I'm going to go ahead and add the coolant that I got. Now this is basically just a regular old, whatever, antifreeze or coolant, whatever you want to call it, for a vehicle. This stuff is expensive, but it's pretty much necessary. I don't want the water to freeze in these lines, and I also don't want the water to boil if it ever gets that hot. Of course, I would have some other failures probably if it got over boiling temperature, but this stuff keeps the water from boiling, so it won't have any steam or anything like that going on, any pressure building up, and it also obviously keeps it from freezing. So what I'm going to do here, since I have the system filled with water, and it looks like it took about 2.5 gallons of water to fill all the pipe up, so I'm going to start pumping out water and then just start adding the coolant until I can see it coming through in my clear tubing over here. Okay, so I've got this little window fan here that we actually got for free with our camper when we bought it. And I think this is going to work out perfect as a back fan for this radiator. So I've just kind of set a couple 4x4s in here that this will sit on, and I'm just going to slide it in here and just kind of stand it up right next to that radiator so it's blowing air right through it. And we'll just set it on high setting here and see how well it works. Alright, so we've got a nice hot fire cooking out there in the barrel stove outside, and it's heating that water up and cycling through here. This really is working way better than I expected it to. I have a temperature or thermometer on. The heat coming out of the radiator here, it's at about 105 degrees. The ambient temperature in the room here is about 63 degrees. So I'm getting a good, 40 plus degree split on the temperature, which is great. So I'm really happy with this. I think this is going to be nice. It's not something that I'm going to run every day, but I really wanted to have something in the garage that I could, heat the place up without running an electric heater. They're very expensive to run, and they honestly takes a really long time to heat the garage up with one of those. With this, I'll be able to start a quick fire in the morning when the kids get off to school, and turn the fan on here, let the garage warm up, and I can come out and work on projects here in the garage. I'd really like to continue to kind of add on to my work area and build more of a workshop in here. I've got a lot of projects I want to get done, and so this is kind of where I wanted to start. I've got the winter ahead of me, and now I've got a way to heat the garage up into a nice, comfortable temperature so I can get out here and work. So, nice thing about this system, using the barrel stove, I use it as my pool heater in the summertime to heat my pool. I've got a video on that I'll link over at the end here. I also use, you could use this for anything. So you could set this same system up and put this in your home, in your basement, in a bedroom or whatever, and use it to heat part of your home without having a wood burner inside. Most insurance companies will not allow a wood burning stove in your home. If they do, or in your garage or something like that. If they do, a lot of times they charge more, or you just have to kind of not tell them about it, which isn't right either. So this way you keep the fire outside and just get the heat inside. And so it really is awesome. So real happy with it. I'll probably do another update video on this a little bit down the road as I get some kind of more finalized here. I'm going to maybe build a little grate in the front and make the airflow a little bit more efficient in the back from the fan.
Okay, so this is what I've come up with now. I just got a wire holding up my funnel going down, and I just got it on a bench here. Open up my garage door, and I just got an old little metal dish here, and I'm going to put some charcoal in there. So this fits in there with this on top, like that, and then I'm going to have this just in here, and we'll see if that takes off. And then this is the old stove of mine, just with a piece of steel on it. So let's give this a shot. Okay, so it's getting a little dark here. Hopefully you can see. I've got the coals hot with the torch. I got elbow on here, just facing down so it can spin in the bowl. And haven't turned my oil on yet, but I'm just going to give it a shot with the, and see what happens with it. I'm going to turn this on. Okay, I haven't got any oil yet. It's coming though. Set it on a stand down here. Set the oil up there. Woo. Okay, I think I got it now, guys. It's working really good. My battery just died there, so I had to redo it. But yeah, I just put some more oil in it. Once I open this valve, then this one starts coming down. There's probably an airlock right in here. But yeah, it's working good. And the coals are in there right now, hot. And that just drips. So let's turn it back on again. Let's get the oil going a little bit. There's the oil. I turned the oil on a little too soon. Now we can turn it on. it down. Turn it up. Woohoo! It's full way open. Probably too much. And that's running down here. Change it. So that's it, guys. I'm going to shut her down. Shut the oil off first. You definitely want to shut the oil off and let it burn off. Cool. That is cool, guys. It's working. Well, guys, if you haven't subscribed yet, that deserves a subscribe. Leave it in the comments below, and I will thank you personally. Yeah, subscribe, share, like, share it on social media. Tell me any tips. But this is what it's working good. So yeah, it should work good. Anyway, guys. Okay guys, so we're outside here, got it all set up with the chimney. I split a little bit of firewood here, kindling and some dry wood. It's got a little bit of wetness to it, but let's see what we can do. Got some old Timmy's cups. Put those guys in there. Throw some kindling in there. I already feel the heat coming off of it. Yeah, you can see the stove is starting to burn itself off right here. So that's why you want to do it outside first. You don't want all that stinky stuff in your garage or shop or tent. Seems like more smoke's coming out the door here now. I'll let that burn, get hot, and I'll close the door. Oh, that stinks. Seems to burn a little better with the door open. Now she's burning a little better, boys. Well, she's going now. There's some geese. Oh yeah. Quack, 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 quack. Anyway guys, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe below. There's more to come. I think I'm going to probably try to turn this into an oil burner. So subscribe and like below. Share with your friends. Let's put a little more wood in there. She's burning pretty good now, guys. So guys, hope you liked the video. Check out my next video coming. Like I said, I think we're going to turn this into an oil burner, waste oil burner. So that'll be, well, this is part 4. That'll be part 5, I guess. So stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe right here or down below. Ciao for now, guys.